This is your daily market recap for Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Let's go. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your daily market recap for Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. Hopefully you're doing well. I appreciate all the love, support, and everybody just seems to be doing pretty well. Again, trading is not a game where you're always winning potentially. It's a probability-based game. Talk about this a lot in the Discord room about the mind and how it affects how you observe evidence, how you react to evidence, and what you ultimately end up doing. A lot of folks seem to be allowing previous mistakes or previous not really errors, like circumstances within the market, put them in a funk, as I like to call it, going on tilt. And so again, you can win and lose with pocket aces. We've talked about this, and people who are newer, hopefully you're listening to this, the risk management, the understanding of things, the ability to pivot. Keyword, I keep talking about pivot, being able to change your mind, being okay with it, not marrying a thesis if it's wrong. These things are very difficult. People are struggling with this. And again, I'm talking to the folks, trying to help them out, but if they just can't see the mistakes they're making, this is what I've always recommended. Stop trading. Focus on your mind, because again, it's executing these trades. Like you're going to be in a funk where sometimes you're wrong. It's just how you execute it and how it really affects your emotional state and your well-being, because this is the thing. Once you're in a negative place in your mind and you have no confidence, trading becomes such a game where it doesn't seem like anything matters, and next thing you know, you are literally gambling. This is how the market makers take every winner to a loser in the market. All right, let's talk about this. Again, if you're newer to the channel, please check out all the Back to Basics series. Like, know this stuff. Study the Livermore book. The link is in the description for this video. I mean, people are like, I'm calling to action. Like, do something. Because if you're digging your own hole, your own grave, you got to change. But the first thing you got to do is not trade. It's to get the mind right, to heal the mental, scarring that comes from losing. Like, that's the thing about losing. It's not only capital loss, it's mental capital loss. Same thing where you got to be very careful with what? When you're winning, you don't get cocky, you don't get ego. Doesn't start driving your trading. I always tell people, like, the worst thing for traders is to have beginner's luck, because then you actually think you know what you're doing. You just got lucky. This is a very complicated game, hence the purpose of this channel, to help people out, to help them learn and understand trading and know that, hey, at times there are going to be struggles, but how do we get through that? That is where I'm here. Again, I always joke with people, I'm like, you don't realize what kind of tuition bill you are saving if you learn these lessons from me, my friends in the Discord rooms. I know there's a lot of great traders who have gone through this, and I appreciate them advising the folks in there. If you want to become a part of the Discord, remember, I shut this down because it was getting too overwhelming. Please reach out to me on Twitter. Leave me a comment of why it would be good for you to enter. Because, again, I don't want people to come to the Discord room just to sit from 50,000 feet and watch. No, I want people to get involved. I want to be a part of their growing process because, again, that's how we all grow. 90% of the people following will fail, but the 10% that succeed and get through this, we will help each other out. And ultimately, what? A group of amazing traders that share content and evidence freely, because it's not, a buy yourself thing, yes, but it's hard to know everything all the time. I can't pay attention to everything in the market, just like you can't. None of us are institutions with hundreds of millions of dollars in expenses that can be used to pay attention to everything in the market, front run trades, whatever you want to call it, due diligence. Sorry for the snorts again. Got some, again, I've just been nasal drainage, endless. Please check out the Twitter page, continuously trying to update it. And again, if you're following on social media and YouTube, I'm giving away this stuff for free, but the people who want to get involved in it, and again, never charge a penny. All I ask for is donations. If you're doing well and you are saving on the tuition fee and you are learning and you are growing, and again, that's why it's at your choice, because there's not going to be an up. It's all not always going to be up, and I don't want people to feel like I am advising them to do anything. I am not. I am helping you give yourself the power and the ability to own all your choices, because nobody does that. Everybody's offering get rich quick. The goal is not to get rich quick. It's actually to learn how to freaking trade. I appreciate everybody. Let's get into it. Bitcoin, nowhere. Holding up, though. Can't get bearish with it holding up over 20,000. I mean, it seems to be building a base. We'll see what happens. Oil. My favorite, safest trade. Now people are like, oh, it's stuck. It's broken. It's the wrong trade. Dan, you're an idiot. Love to tell this, and I say this to people all the time. What is the hardest part about trading? Timing. What's the best timing? You don't know till after the fact. Hence, you look at lines of support and resistance that are important. Talk about holding 76 on oil. Bounces to what? The resistance zone at 93, and now holding support. The support is not just some area we pulled out of our behind. It matters. But if you're in this trade, and the reason why I say safest, you know your downside and you know your upside. A million things could go wrong in the world, in the economy, and oil will rally. Again, think of it as a probability base. Like you're sitting on pocket kings with this trade. You know your downside. It's pre-flop. If you don't like, and if you see the flop comes out and it's not good for us, we fold. Say the flop is ace, queen, jack, and all spades. We fold if you want. So honestly, please be thoughtful. And the reason why I say this stuff, natural gas. I mean, what has my thesis been? Ultimately, the feds are going to be put in a pickle. If you want to be a bear in this market going forward, you need one thing and one thing only. You know what it is. You need commodities to rise. We need natural gas to start kicking in. Well, people were like, oh, you got kicked out. You missed it. Yeah, because we got stopped out here. Look at the support. Well, it broke lower, and then it got to this zone. One touch. If you bought this bottom, heck yeah, congratulations. People are like, oh, you're not in it. No, that's all right. It confirms to me I think oil will rise in time. Keep in mind the headlines today. As of, October 6th, right? 25th. The headlines today were that natural gas prices are zero coming out of Texas. And look what the action did. It went zing higher. Zing. It's funny. We're already into Wednesday, but it's not Wednesday. But I guess futures technically it is, duh. Are you seeing this action? So, does it retest? Does it pull back? I don't know. But if you bought down at the lows, congratulations. Be aware, your first resistance is probably going to be around $6.47, which is on the UNG is what? 22s. Good stuff. All right, the dollar. Make you holla. What did we talk about? Lower highs. At some point, probably going to break. Look what it did. Broke below, once below the 20-day. Things that aren't bearish. Now, I know the futures are down because of Meta, Google, Microsoft. Cool. All right. Well, do you want to know how you confirm whether the market is actually going to go higher? Bad news, rise. Get everybody who's bearish going, yeah, the market's going to crash. Well, guess what? If it doesn't go down on bad news, this is the best way to cement bulls and bears to capitulate if you want to see the blow off top and continuation of the bear market with the best risk reward. Because now shorting at 38.50, I mean, maybe it's not a bad trade. Maybe I'll look back and be like, oh, that was the top. But again, if you think we are going higher to wipe out bears, wipe out bulls, we talked about the huge amount of cash on the sideline. We talked about them trying to get the market to levitate into the midterm elections. If they can accomplish this and we rise into the last, first 3 days of the month, keep in mind, look at the almanac for next week. It is incredibly bullish, insanely bullish, seasonally. And if it does rise, I'm telling you, that's the type of stuff we might look for in a top and then maybe some chop into OPEX. A dollar breaking and going to low, making lower lows right here. Again, if we break 29.59, going back down. Going lower. Very simple. TLT. Hey, congratulations. I mean, we talked about this last week. Like, that's a lot of volume in the oversold position. Do I want to trade it? No. I mean, I feel like, again, bonds are up 3% today. You could have found, since literally the bottom, when we get into the SPY, you'll see, like, if you would have just laid off of this, there was a million other trades that worked better than 3% off the bottom. Very obvious, right? Very obvious. You could have bought, remember, the market bottomed. Let me just reference just in case, because people are like, oh, you got to buy the SPY. I'm like, or the TLT. I'm like, since October 14th, 347 up to 384, or the TLT moving one day move. Very obvious. Anything else in the market. But what have we said though? All right, well, if this is going to pop 20 day, 99, I mean, look at all this candle action right here. Near term, it's probably going to be some resistance. I mean, here, let me just draw you the box. The box. Maybe 98, 9, I don't know. Again, things that aren't bearish. If rates are climbing, or sorry, TLT's climbing and rates are coming down ever so slightly, the market's going to like that. The market's going to go, oh, I think the Feds are pivoting. Oh, the Feds are pivoting. No, I don't think they will, but whatever. Okay, again, we have to trade the evidence. Our opinions don't matter. The VIX, what did I say last week? I was like, once it breaks the 20-day, it's game over. Well, look what we did. Consolidated, boom. Now we're in a first support at 28. Probably going to open, maybe, I mean, we'll see. Does the VIX open up tomorrow? Maybe. I've said this many times. This is one of your first support zones. Here's your next one. And God forbid the gap fills at 20. Remember, we've talked about this many a times. The VIX drop before the big smash. Let me show you the monthly. Here it is in 2008. You had this consolidation under, I'd say, like 37. One last pullback right here. Let me open it up. Pullback, then go. All right, up. Maybe it's 2 months of pullback. And again, maybe 23, 24. I have no clue. No clue. Maybe it's clearly going to be sometime in November. Can we not agree on that? Like, put that. I need to write that down. Remember, VIX bottom in November. When? I have no clue. I could take a guess. First 3 days of the month, maybe OPEX. Just write that down. Maybe it's not right. Maybe it is. But ultimately, if it does go higher in the market, that's probably my guess for the VIX. It's like Ace Ventura, where he like takes a deep breath and then talks for like 3 minutes. Alrighty then. What have we said? Bear traps. What do? They resolve higher, y'all. They resolve higher. Talked about this action. Now people are like, oh, it has to retest. But keep in mind, one of the difference between this bear trap and the last one is it didn't fail at the 20-day. It got over it, and then it became support. Now we're ripping the last 3 days. People are like, oh, bear market or bull market's over after 3 days. I love seeing these tweets because bears are now like, look, the market's going to drop. I'm telling you right now, if this crap holds up, and I mean crap because we know it's a bear market, trader's market. We talk about this. I can't believe people still don't recognize this about a bear market. It's a trader's market. It doesn't go down in a straight line. It jumps up and down all over the place, and the last move down is the wipeout. Well, guess what? The VIX isn't breaking out. Why in the hell would you expect the market to break down? We talked about that. Oh, man, it's just like frustrating because I swear I talk to people, and I even had to boot someone today that out of the room. I didn't ban them, but kicked them out. I'm like, where are you missing on this evidence? I mean, I don't mind people being nervous, insecure about certain things, but it's like you're so far off playing. It just confuses me. And I'm like, you know what? Take a break. We'll come back and chat at some point because, again, I'm not a mean person by any means. I just need people to stop sometimes with their own. Well, the best way to describe it is you're carrying around your own mental clouds. Like, you got to be able to liberate yourself. And, you know, I'm not perfect. No one is. But the goal is try to do it quickly. And, again, if you're in a hole and you're busted mindset, first thing to do, put the shovel down, stop digging, step out of the market from trading-wise, and just go over why you messed up, make mistakes, and wait. Think about the Livermore when he recovered. He literally waited for the one trade that he knew was the highest probability setup. Now, why can't people do that every day? It's very obvious. They need to trade every day. That's the problem. Get back into that mindset. It's more than likely from over trading, trying to over predict. As much as I like to pretend like I'm always, on top of this, you guys know 80%. That's all we're at. 80, 85, 90%, depending on what time of the year. But ultimately, it averages it out somewhere in the 80s. You can't be right all the time. And if you're over trading, trying to predict every single freaking day, every move, you're going to be wrong a lot more. Again, less is more. Where are my friends that understand that? Less is absolute more. All right, QQQ hit up. I mean, over the 20-day. I mean, I don't know where it's at right now, but let's pull up. Again, I'm going to pull up the ES and NQ futures. Because, again, at this point, they close at the high. All right, well, here's the ES inside day above 380, 3,800, not bearish. NQ, which has taken most of the ground. Oh, man, yeah, here you go. Look at this. I mean, I'm not a futures trader. Again, I wouldn't sleep if I did. 11.35. Now, I know that we're pretty far from that, but that seems like obvious. like Valley Girl, like it's going to hold. All right, at this point, QQQ, if we're down, man, if we're down 6-7 points tomorrow, I mean, I'd watch the 277 area. I mean, it's all like right here, right? Like it's just all right here. All in the family, y'all. Watch what happens. Like put in your notes. Dan's putting it. QQQ 275, 277. Watch what happens. I'm literally reviewing this. I've been out all day in the afternoon with real estate stuff. Love it. Absolutely love the real estate market right now. God, you can get some freaking deals. Sellers will literally give away their firstborn child to get rid of their house right now. It's like people are complaining about 7% interest rates. Well, you're saving an unusual amount of money on equity. Maybe your payment's a little higher. Makes sense. Affordability is less. But I'm telling you, it's better than paying $100,000 over ask months ago. People are freaking jumping off of cliffs ready to do it. And it's like, now you're getting $100,000 off and you don't want to buy it? Okay, fair enough. IWM, here we go. Things that aren't bearish. We talked about buying this on the 20-day. Hallelujah. Look where you're at. 150-day cross. Take a pause. Take a pause. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not the first time. You hit it right here. Chopped around it. Is it the 50-day fail? I don't know. Again, I think we're at this point in the cycle where you have to be very careful. And I've said this over and over. Like the IWM's leading. Today's close was not bearish. Now, could it be a close at the high kind of thing? Well, you would really need to see earnings turn into an absolute crap show. Now, keep in mind, there's up and down during earnings. It's not always one direction. Gold. Someone was like, I got to buy this today. I'm like, I don't know. Double bottom. I mean, do you want to buy it today? Probably not. Again, this stuff I think could rally with the market, but I just find there's better opportunity. Now, you only have so much money to put to work. You pick and choose where you're going to go, but I would not pick gold and silver nor the miners. But doesn't mean they can't go higher. Please don't twist my words. GDXJ, the 50-day, maybe it gets a little, maybe it gets, again, maybe up a point or two. If that's what floats your boat, cool. GDX, getting over the 50-day, maybe it pops. Maybe it lines up perfectly where the, top of the range in the 100-day converge at some point at 25.91. Now, again, 24.41 to a 25.91 is $1.50. If that gets you excited over a few days, that's your cup of tea. I personally I think you can find $1.50 in a lot of other things, but that is what it is. AG, yep. Again, if you want to trade this stuff, go right ahead. 730 up to 847, not bad, but maybe it converges into the 200-day. I don't know. I just think this stuff is just way too hard. There's, again, tax loss selling is coming in December. I've showed people a million times why you should wait for that. If the markets are down and the VIX has not capitulated, like I am just, again, gold has no Momo. Just like Bitcoin. Do you like no Momo or do you like the Momo? Now, a Momo is a very good, I think, Tibetan, almost like, what do you call those things? It's, whatever. A roll, you know what I mean? Jeez, it's 9 o'clock my time and I'm recording this. That's the problem. Long day. Anyway, but that's my point. It's like, no Momo. No Momo, I don't want to eat it. Again, it just seems like it's dead. Think about at any point, if it gets a 45, it probably gets met with sellers. I like it long term. Dumpling. Momo dumpling. There we go. Just let it come in. Let it come to me, friends. Newmont. Leave it alone. I don't even know why I show it. Pass on it. Again, if you trade it, but it's just the Momo is dead. No me gusta. No Momo. AMD. Talked about trash floating, even tech. Here you go at the 20-day. Now, keep in mind, if you get over the 20-day, it opens the door. Opens the door for the 50-day and the old June lows. Got it? Good. I don't know, but just keep that in mind. NVIDIA, even this junk is bouncing over the 20-day. Probably could get up into the 145. Here's what gets interesting. A lot of people are like, Soxel, yeah. I'm like, oh, God, the Soxel sucks as AZZ. SMH. Blowout bottom. Channel low. Approximate. Again, this broke below it and bounced. Even better. So, think about it. Like, holding it has always led to a resolved higher. 50-day? 200s. If I don't even know how to That's all they're saying. I mean, if the market holds, the thing stuff's going to rise. I mean, it's really hard to be bearish and just pick a point out of like today and go, ha ha, right now. There's really no reference. Adobe, again, we've talked about it. Sold puts after earnings when the IB was huge and the market VIX was spiking. Oh, free money. Now you're back into the gap. Please mind the gap. Apple. Things that aren't bearish makes a higher low, rallying. Now, again, this is a pretty straight line move. Don't be surprised if it chops around for earnings, but this doesn't look bearish. I don't know. I mean, where you want to pull a reference? I mean, I'd like to say 150s, mid 150s, but just today's action at the 100-day. When's the last time the 100-day just acted as resistance? Not a single time. It went right through it. So 100-day ain't the one. So the 50-day? Maybe. I mean, again, you got to know the personality of the stocks you're in. Indifferent. Amazon announces more layoffs. Is it breaking the trend line on bad news? Got to be careful, because bad news acting positively says the market is what? Bullish. Climbing the wall of worry. CRM doesn't look bearish. I mean, blow out of the lows. I mean, let me draw this because I think you can see there's a very small little resolving channel down. Bounced. Coming into, now again, this is why it's so hard. Like, do you want to buy this for the long term? And no, it might be here after the May drop. Look, chop, 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 chop. How long the chop, 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 chop lasts? I don't know. Goog. Where is it? After hours. 97, 95. I'd watch this reference at 98. You get back above that, that's probably bullish. Do not be surprised if it holds up. That's all I'm saying. We'll see what happens going into tomorrow. Meta. All right, someone was like, hey, can you explain the buddy pass? Yep, I can. We talked about how AMD many months ago when we were shorting it, talked about how like they upgraded at the high. Talk about the, remember, Credit Suisse Apple upgrade at the 190s before it went earlier in the year. Well, here you go. Meta, double downgrade. Double downgrade in front of earnings after it's been absolutely smoked. And look what happens. It rallies. It gets retail to puke. And maybe, and again, I don't know how high it's going to go. But that's a buddy pass. It's when brokerages, pretend you and I are brokerage. You listen and I'm Goldman Sachs, you're Morgan Stanley, whatever. I'm JP. It doesn't matter. I'm like, hey, retail's, our clients got a lot of shares and we want to unload into, or hey, we'd like to scare them out of these shares and buy them. Oh, do you mind? Hey, Jamie Dimon, do you mind advising one of your analysts to come out and downgrade Meta? Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. Cool. We're going to buy the stock. You should too. Okay, cool. Talk to you later. Bye. Click. That's how that conversation goes. And so I call that the buddy pass. Not surprised at rally. Just that, I don't know. Really that simple? Yep. Microsoft. Now, again, we talked about them being a laggard back at 234. Man, imagine that. All right, you got to hold 234s. This is what's so hard is I think commodities have more upside with earnings while tech has less upside because you have to get through the bad news. Well, if the bad news gets treated correctly, well, then good news becomes good news and bad news is good news. And I think that's where it's sticking to commodities is easier. Or in general, just lay off earnings. If a company's going into earnings, take your profits beforehand, especially if it's at the highs. I mean, that just seems logical. If it goes higher, great. But remember, first mouse gets the trap, second gets the cheese. Like, again, it's easier to come in after the move. If you held Microsoft long and you're like, oh, I'll just see what happens to earnings, you were literally rolling the dice. And now you're back at 234 after hours. The last 3 days basically got wiped out. That's, I don't know. Sorry. NDAQ. Oh, shiznit. Look at that. Yeah, come on back. Put that back on the short list. NDAQ. Get up into, what do we say, the low 60s? I mean, 61 plus, maybe 62. Finger licking good. Yeah, they're the Coinbase. Again, they even announced last week, or maybe this week, I can't remember. My weeks are now melting into months and months into years, and it feels like the market just happened. Whatever happened 3 years ago happened yesterday. No, I'm not on drugs. This is just how I am when I get under the microphone. It just seems very logical to me. This is the Coinbase of the NASDAQ, Chinese, and they announced last week they're going to delist a lot of the Chinese names. It's like, oh my God, you're just kicking people off. You're kicking issuances off your platform. Even better. even better. MicroStrategy, things that aren't bearish. Wow, look at that sucker. Well, look at that. Look at that, Sally. Nice close. Does it fail here? I don't know. Is it just like this and then back off, or is it going to play the game? All right, here's a knee bend. Thank you. I can get into a knee bend here. So a knee bend is when you get above a level, and again, you could flip the chart over and say it on the bottom, going lower too. You pop to a next support zone. You get over it. You think it's gonna go. You feel like you can't lose. J Solstice is for you, my friend. Everything feels grand. And then it goes, duh, and it pulls back on light volume. Everybody's like, oh, man, I'm done with this. And then it goes zing and leaves people in the dust. Then it goes on a 140-point run, whatever. The knee bend is how the market makers shake people out. Look at that, 2 gaps. Everyone be going, oh, professional gap, game over. Look at that. That formation is very tricky. Because, again, I mean, one of it you need to see it, and again, we'll get into CF or some of these other names. Like, you need to see lighter volume on the pullbacks. That helps. Not guaranteed. Netflix took my profits today, said I wanted 50 points. I took my 50 points. Got up into the fib today. Just happened so be. Again, I still think it could get higher. Again, after hours 287. I mean, watch what happens if the 200-day is touched again. Might hold, might fold. Again, it's hard to be super bearish with the setups. Now, again, if they turn over, well, this is where you have your stops. And then someone will hit me up in like 3 weeks if the market just flips from today. You said the market was going higher. And I said, yeah, I also said roll up your stops. I also said use risk management. I also say trade around your core position. No, but I was all in, and then the market turned around, and I didn't know it. Okay. Well, I guess you bet on that you're never wrong. I try to bet on what? Probabilities. And then when I'm unsure, and the probabilities might seem a little against me or unsure, it's better to take profits. I say that all the time. Roadblock. Wow. Gap over the 200-day. Holy shnikes. Whoever's been bullish on this, again, like tight range. We talked about, everyone's like, oh, maybe it's an island floating reversal. I'm like, it's not an island floating reversal if the market's bullish. Here we go. Gap and go. Now it's got 2 major gaps. Maybe it needs a third 3-gap trap. I don't know. Either way, I'd be waiting for the 50s if you want to short this. Tesla. All right, here's a bear trap. Another one like the Qs. You take out the lows yesterday and then you rally right back. People dump the stock on the first move, and I'm like, you are high as a kite. Like, at worst, you're coming back to 230. Maybe you get back up into this 240s range. I mean, God forbid you get to 267. You sold for a $10 point rise when it was like, man, if you could have just trusted the market was going to do what it's going to do to wipe out both sides, because that's what it maybe needs to do. It needs to pull Tesla up. Oh, but the news is bad. Well, if it doesn't break lows on bad news, you have to pivot. You got to pivot. Again, you can't just stay bearish and go, well, the market action is just going against me. No. That's probably why people are losing, because they expect something to happen and they built up this great evidence, and then it's like, but the market's not doing what you think. That is a problem. All right, let's get off of tech. Let's get into some commodities. Letter X. I don't know why people are so interested in trading this. I get it. It's a cheap stock. Well, upside's 22s, maybe 24, 20. Again, the candle floats your boat. I just think they guided down. They don't look as good as like Nucor. We said trade the leaders. X is not leading. This is leading. Double bottom, way further off the lows. 104 to 136. You do the math. 30% off the lows. What is X off the lows? Just curious. 17 to 21. $1.70. I mean, I guess relatively approximate. I just don't. I don't know. I just don't see the upside that I would see like in Nucor, right? I think you can get up to 146. So you do the math. It's 40%. I don't know, man. It just, again, if you're trading for points, I see options traders. I'm like, ooh, the money is in the moves, the stuff that's moving. Again, I hope X moves, but they haven't have earnings. And so if you're trading before earnings, you are rolling the damn dice. Again, I don't know what X will announce. But if you saw Cleveland Cliffs today, I hate this company. I think their balance sheet is absolute dog crap. This is what happened. Now you could have bought it, and second mouse gets the cheese. Oh, but I have to get that moment. I always have to be getting the upside. Well, that is at some point going to put you in the pain zone. Again, sometimes it's better to survive the day, meaning like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but guess what? I won't take a loss. I won't just instantly get burned like people who bought cliffs. Yeah, no. VALE. Going to be doing some spin-offs later. Got to keep an eye on this one later. Where's the volume? Something's moving down here. Pray that we get the 11-12 range, maybe back post VIX spiker. Euro. I mean, if you bought the 50-day and you trade again, I don't like upper left to lower right stocks. I just don't trust them for bullishness. I don't know how often can we just stop this? And again, I mean, maybe it goes higher, but it's so hard. CCJ, we talked about this holding like, was it a 2270? Yeah. Building up. That looks better to me. At least lower left, upper right, not. Now, how much higher? I don't know. Maybe it fills the gap. Well, he's buying the gap. These are stocks that are easier for me to be confident in. Lower left, upper right. Oh, but Dan, it's up. It can't go high. Stop. Did you read Livermore once? All right, here we go. Little head, shoulders. Here's the shoulder line. Here's the head. If you get over 108. If you get over, I mean, you can even see it all the way over here, man. Was it this candle? I'm trying to like line up. Yeah, there you go. Come. Oh, oops. That ain't it. You get over 108. I don't know why you wouldn't come back to 113 pretty dang quickly. Okay. Anyway, keep an eye on it, right? Again, this looks better to me. Now people are like, oh, it's up. Somebody's holding the stock up. You and I ain't. Just keep that in mind. Mosaic, we talked about this. We talked about it. Look good. Little double bottom, holding the trend line, making higher highs, higher lows. Again, should confirm CF. Now, do you see the difference between this one, though? Like, it's got a ways to go to get back to 80. I always talk about this overhead resistance. Like, look at the difference here. Overhead resistance. Do you remember that is? It's when people who are stuck at higher price. There's not a lot of people stuck up here at higher prices. 50 up to 80, there's that whole 30 points for Mosaic. Once you fill this gap, you have 3 days of overhead resistance. This thing could turn into the sensation of the year. This could be the Livermore sensation. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, this thing could go for a run. But you buy Mosaic? Okay, it's fine. I mean, people say, oh, but you bought NTR. Well, let me look at NTR and I'll show you why. Because I like, I guess I should just buy all CF. I guess at this point I'm arguing against myself. But I just sitting here, I'm like, well, damn. The point of control and the trend line. Okay, I'll buy that dip. Again, because if I didn't get a Mosaic bottom, then yeah, it's different. But to chase it, and like today, I'm like, watch NTR. You didn't really have that opportunity in Mosaic. Keep that in mind. Again, that's why I'm talking junk about it. Again, you had nowhere to buy a dip. It didn't really dip. You either got in here. I don't know. Probably sound like I'm contradicting myself because it does have overhead resistance. But this is a monster point of control here. Now, again, maybe it just floats up with earnings. But either way, it just seemed like, it seemed like the derivative of buying CF. I mean, I'll take that. Take that. Again, Mosaic, good. Again, percentage-wise, same, but I like points. I'm telling you, I like points. Here's another thing that's not bearish commodities. Look, they gap earnings. Opens down, closes high, making higher highs off the lows. Things that aren't bearish. All right, let's roll into the XBI. We talked about adding this one. Things that aren't bearish. You could buy it at the point of control at 76. Here you go, making higher highs off the lows. First resistance. Let me draw it for y'all in case to me it's obvious, but maybe it's not. That's my job. Draw it for you guys. Maybe 82s. Last time I did this game, the last one went shing. If you get a nice gap up, be prepared. This thing could go higher. XLF, things that aren't bearish. We talked about this stuff. I'm amazed how people quick to short. Breaking over the 50-100 day. Not bearish. Morgan Stanley. Holding up. coming off the lows. Not as strong as this piece of junk, JP Morgan. The Diamond Buddy Pass, talk about this every single day. Warns the economy is going to crash another 20%. Hey, tell everybody our stock's going lower. Okay, Jamie. Everyone buy it at 105 or less. Okay, Jamie. And here you go. Now you're at 125. 122, 123. Comes the 200-day. That's, I mean, I'm pretty sure the brokerage just is going to make 20% on their money. Whoever called that out. You're welcome, buddy pass. All right, solar. First solar. All over the place. But come on up. Come on, Dad. And people are like, oh, you got to jump in. I'm like, no, I didn't get, again, we took our profits in the like 134 range or whatever it was. I don't know, somewhere around here. No, it was this day. Maybe? I can't remember, whatever. Short it up here. Close it in like the low 134, 135. Solid 10 points. Oh, it goes lower. You're going to chase it? No. No, sir. No, sirree, Bob. Here you go. Now it's back at 127. Pray. Pray for the 138s. Pray for 140. Tan. Talked about it. Even this, I mean, look below and fail. Look at that. That is not bearish, y'all. See what happens. ENPH had earnings. Man, this thing was, I remember looking at it from my phone while I was on this conference. It got up to 287 after hours. Yep. Wow, holy crap. Tried to fill that gap, but it's at 274 still. Not bearish. Pray for 305. Short it with a stop. Sedge. Even this crap is rising. Right? I mean, things that aren't bearish. Now, again, if it all turns to shoot tomorrow, people are going to be like, oh, you didn't see it coming. I'm like, well, because the evidence wasn't there. I can't catch the one-off moves. It's really tough. I'd rather see choppy tops, right? We'll see what happens. Doesn't look bearish. Okay? If you want to get your butt into a wad, tight wad, go ahead. HYG, we talked about this today on this. We're like back up near the highs from last week. If it breaks over it, market's going to get a little more comfortable with corporate debt. ETF rising. Let's end it on oil. Why do you like oil? I said this 1,000 times. Tight action. Just got to get over the 50-day. Gots to get over it. Once you get over it, head and shoulders, get up into the low 80s, maybe 79, 78. I don't know. Again, what do we say? The Feds need what? They need commodity to stay low to be able to even sniff pivoting. Guess what? I'm pretty sure this stuff is going to do the opposite because, again, the Feds can't create oil by cutting rates. They can't control supplies. They can only control demand of stuff. And again, people will always need commodities. It's just now constraints and everything that's going on in the world. UNG, hey, congratulations, people in the Discord room. I talked them out of buying this when it was dropping. Well, made a new low. If you traded it near the lows, well, high five to you. It burned me at 22 and I just gave up on it. I told you, at 3 strikes out, I'm like, I'm buying it. We're buying it, and it just wasn't acting right. Well, cool. If you stuck to it and you got at the lows, well, then awesome. If you're trying just to get back to even, that's not how you're supposed to do this, but that's people's choices. XOP, man, I mean, I've said this, the May-June reaction, is it coming? Is it coming? Again, if you get over mid-143s, people keep asking every day, should I buy the drip? I'm like, if you have to ask that question, probably not. I mean, I would wait. Who knows where the drip will get to? Oxy doesn't look that bad. Buffett sold his calls. We talked about the put-call ratio being almost negative. Can't, but in general, so crazy how many calls we're getting bought. Pulls back. Now it's back up towards the range highs, getting into our... Why don't I just drag over that blue box? Yeah, why don't you do that, Dan? You're into it. See what happens. Doesn't look bearish at the moment. EQT, even this piece of junk bounced today. Trashed us. Again, we got out of it. I remember telling people get out if it couldn't close with a 20-day. And then it closed low the day. All right, maybe a left-right combo here. Double bottom. Maybe it pops. I mean, things that don't look bearish to me. ExxonMobil, been on fire. All right, well, it's making new all-time highs. Maybe it knee bends. Maybe it pulls back 2 or 3 points. Again, it has earnings coming up. Be careful. We don't know how earnings are going to react. But again, I hope this helps. Trying to be thoughtful. Congratulations, too. I said short the UVXY. Not looking good. Some friends of ours are doing that. Anyway, please reach out if you're having problems, but just remember that you got to control this. If you feel like you're out of control, like you're like, I have no clue why I'm losing or why, then you have to stop and you have to regain control. Trading's not easy. Also, please reach out. Leave a comment below if you're enjoying this content. I appreciate the support, the love, everybody who's been involved in the channel. Now, again, we all always get along or are going to agree. Again, we're always trying to grow. It's the people who get stuck doing the same things over and over again. I have to cut them loose. And it's not personal. If you have any real estate questions or needs, just reach out. Again, I mean, worst case scenario, I'll give you a piece of advice that might help. If you need an agent, let me help you find one. Let me vet them. You'll get 2 for 1. I will be there to help you along the way. I will collect a referral, no different than Zillow or any other website. When you click on it, go, oh, I need to find an agent. And they take 30% from that agent. I would take less than that because I don't want it to be punitive. But ultimately, you get 2 agents. I'd love to help out investment properties. Y'all know that. Anyway, I appreciate everybody. Talk to you guys and gals and friends, whatever you want. Again, you can identify as a bear or a bull. You don't have to always be a guy or a girl or it. They, she, them, whatever. Peace. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.